Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Comix Rant. I am Arvin Bautista, and in this channel I just talk through and walk through some of the books that I've been reading. And I love comic books, so I just like to share it with everybody that I can. And I think comic books are such a visual medium, I can't just write about it. I kind of have to flip through it to show you, and maybe it helps you enjoy the medium and even pick up some of these books. I usually do my browsing in the library, and that's kind of how I find all these gems. I find it so it's not hard for me to just look at something and go, ooh, that's cool, and then just borrow it, right? Rather than just, ooh, that's cool, let me pay $25 for it, because I have no idea what the book's going to be like. And maybe I should just do that to support the industry, but I like a lot of books, so I kind of like just borrowing everything and then seeing if anything's good, anything sticks. And this is good. Open Bar by Eduardo Medeiros. I have no idea what any of these books are that I pick up. It's just, it looks good to me. I pick them up, borrow them, and read them. So I have no previous PR knowledge of what's going on. Sometimes I do. I like to keep tabs of the comic book industry a lot, but I just can't keep up. I can't keep up. There's so much great stuff. And this is one of them. Okay, so a quick pitch is it's about these two guys and their friendship as they handle a new bar. That's all I read from the back, and then I stopped because this art's great. Come on now. Right? It looks great. It's got this old school... Well, let's flip through it. It's got this old school kind of retro modern, right? That's been going on. That was really popular in the 90s with whatever, Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack, even Dexter's Lab. This guy looks like a Adventure Time kind of guy. But, it's his own style. And he, Eduardo Medeiros, is able to crank out this crazy book. So, I'm just going into this book. Looks great, so I'm like, I'll give it a shot. But, I'm not really into buddy comedy stories. But, I was like, I'll give it a shot because, why not? It's from the library. And it's great. It is really great. It is a buddy story, but he has a lot of twists in this book that I was not expecting. And they just come in like someone shanks you from the back. It's just as if I would know that. But it is so good. When I had to read it through. I was just hooked. And the thing is, it kind of lulls you into thinking, hey, it's just a buddy story. And it is. It is a buddy story at its core, right? Relationships and family and all that. It doesn't throw you out of a genre bus all of a sudden, but the twists are so good. And it works so well. You don't really see it coming. I didn't really see it coming because I didn't read the back. So if you, sorry, I just bumped my camera. But so if you run into this book, even now, I'm not going to try to tell you what this book is about. Do not read the synopsis at the back, which is funny because I always read the synopsis at the back so I can tell what I'm going to borrow. Or all the way through, right? It tells you it's a buddy thing. But then it starts giving you the story beats in the back, which is ridiculous. But I think I know why. Because if you just sold this to me, just like Scotty... Oh, actually, I think Scotty Young's intro is what got me in here. Because he said he really likes this guy's stuff, and then this is a buddy story. And that's where I kind of got my synopsis. But the one in the back tells you everything that happens. And because Scotty Young said, this is a good book, try it, I figured, all right, sure, why not? He knows what he's talking about. He's good. But it is more, and it is really good, guys. you know, a very well done, well told story. Seem like chapters in this book, so he has these breaks, but they're not really. I don't know if it was serialized, maybe, but they're not. Sometimes some of the chapters are super short. Then they'll do the crazy stuff like this. See, I'm just flipping through pages here, so you can kind of. He has super short chapters. It's this really charming dudes. They are really like dudes that I would know, like that I've hung out with, and they totally speak like them. I mean, they'll do some great, funny stuff. I mean, I guess there is some fantastical sci-fi element here when they meet up in this story. They go to Comic-Con. These nerdy cousins of them like are doing like fuel, like super fuel, but it doesn't. You know, for a moment I thought, oh, maybe this is like Love and Rockets, how Love and Rockets started, where there's a lot of sci-fi, but then it just evolves into this other thing. But it does not. So it kind of like stays in the genre, even though it does kind of like have a flying car in it. But that's almost like a gag. I mean, it is a gag. It's a joke. And it doesn't, like the sci-fi stuff isn't like the core of it at all. I don't think it's ever addressed again. There are like nerdy in-jokes that I don't think younger people would understand, but it's probably just aimed at my age group, which is like in my 50s. Well, I'm in my 40s, but I'm practically 50. So some of the references are from like the 90s, or a lot of the references are from the 90s. I think even some of the things that they say. So we'll just flip through some of this stuff so you can kind of see. There are a lot of twists, a lot of funny gags that happen between these two guys. They're just childhood friends. And yeah, they're running a bar. It's kind of hard for me not to ruin some of the stuff, but you can also see in the style that he kind of like switches it up a little bit for some of the different scenes. I'm not sure if he uses the key. So here, it's a flashback. These are the two characters younger. So there's a little bit of this gray. But I think it also occurs here. Oh yeah, I guess these are all flashbacks. Anything in gray. So I do the same thing. It's a good coloring trick. He's got a simpler palette, so it is a good coloring trick to make you know, like, hey, this is in the past. They also look pretty different, or fairly different than they do now. He's got dreads here, which is funny. This guy is Beardo, and this is Lenny. So he's got long hair and he's got dreads, but you know this is them in the present. So it's a nice little way to denote a passage of time. Yeah, I don't think I was ever confused by any of that. But yeah, see, there's the Dungeon Master from Dungeons and Dragons. So who's gonna know this? It's like obviously my generation, right? It's a good inside joke. I'm not sure, like, if somebody recent would figure it out. You could Google it up. So, you know, I know like a bunch of kids that know certain things, like Rick Astley, because he did, ooh, look at that. Cool colors. He has a little, but anyway, what I was saying. Rick Astley, because they got Rick rolled, right? But, you know, that's from the 90s. Anyway, this is Open Bar. Yeah, it's interesting for me to flip through because he has a very simple style, but the storytelling is very clear. Or I guess it goes with the simple style, right? But he's able to set up environments really easily without having to have these ornate there's the flying car. Without having to have a giant establishing shot. There are, right? But I like that. I mean, maybe this is the way that Eduardo Medeiros draws, right? But I like that his art is definitely in service of the storytelling. And he just gets into it. I mean, it's great. And a lot of times when I draw my stuff, I'm like, I just need to get into it. I just need to tell the story, right? This is for one of my books, The Bomb Squad, it's a simpler look, but it takes me forever to draw. I don't understand. But, you know, this is a lot of work. Oops, sorry. This is a lot of work, but he covers so much. And that's what I'm always impressed with, right? Like, covers so much, that's cool. It's kind of very old school look. He covers so much and sets you in this world pretty easily. I mean, it could take him years to do it. I think so, but cool sound effects. Tap, 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 tap. Yeah, and then it's nice, nice text, nice typography. So I've been lettering my stuff, and Bomb Squad is like the traditional way of lettering, but it's cool because this one, I always like it when comic book text has caps and lowercase. Because for the most part, when I read mainstream comics, a lot of letterers are saying don't do that. But I like that this one has it. For some reason, I don't know why, capital letters are colder, right? So it even makes the feel of the book, I don't want to generalize, colder, right? Like the words. So this has a nice softer look to it. It's not a blanket generalization, because there's definitely a lot of books that I've read that are all in caps, and it's really, you know, heartwarming and intimate. But I feel like it's a nice tool. So I've been trying to work that into my own indie comics nowadays. Yeah, so so what I was saying was there's these chapter breaks that seem like they're made for serialized comics. So this is one right here. It changes in size. So I'm not sure if you planned that way, or I had heard a podcast where one of the guys doing graphic novels, that was his technique. He would break up a graphic novel into chunks, into bite-sized short story chunks. Oh, actually, I think it was Kazu Kibuichi? Totally butchered that name too. But the guy who did Amulet, which my kids love, when he approaches graphic novels, he does it in little chunks that connect by the end, because otherwise it's just so hard, daunting for him to try to approach a graphic novel. And it's true. It is a good chunk of work. So this has that. It breaks up into these little chapters, but they do connect. And so he starts using this technique where there's a news report, a news story, that kind of updates you on a specific subject that kind of strings this along. It kind of connects, and it's almost like a synopsis of things, like where things are now, and it becomes more important later for the group, and I guess for the story. It's not a spoiler. It's just a nice little touch to connect all these kind of short stories, which it does begin with that. And that's what I said earlier, like it disarms you into thinking, oh, it's this kind of story where it's just these two buddies and gags happen. It's not, because it is about friendship, and it is about growth in that friendship. And it hits a lot of gut-punching scenes when I was reading it. I think I literally had my mouth open on some of the things that happened. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe this story is going there. And then it does, and it keeps moving. And it's like, oh, there's more. And then there's more gut punches that happen. You're like, what is going on? I thought it was these two like slackers trying to open a bar. And it is. That's what's so great about it. Anyway, I think I'm just gushing, rambling. It is Comix Rant. But anyway, highly recommended Open Bar by Eduardo Medeiros, published by Oni, I believe. Do not read the synopsis and just dive straight into this book. If you see it, buy it. I think I will have to buy a physical my own copy of this so I can keep it in my library. I would love to read and reread it again. It's just it's a good book. It's a fun book. It gets deep. It's hilarious. And it's just a nice, I want to say slice of life, but I guess it is. There are things that happen, but it's a good one. That's it for this episode, Comix Rant. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.